So Marie, when did you first hear about Claire's story?
So I grew up in the same hometown, Penistone, as the boys and Claire, and I knew of the tragic deaths of her two sons. But the first time I met Claire was at a remembrance event at my old secondary school, where Jack, her eldest son, went and is remembered by the head teacher every year. And I met Claire there, and she told me the story of how her two sons were lured into the attic in the family home by her ex-husband with the promise of a train set. He then set 14 fires alight around that home, and her two sons tragically died as a result of that house fire. And she made a promise to those boys as she said goodbye to her eldest son that she would make sure that their voices were finally heard by the family court system by repealing the law on the presumption of contact. When she told me that story and we met, I said to her, if I'm elected as your Member of Parliament, I promise to do all I can to make sure that we change the law on the presumption of contact to protect the lives of generations of children up and down this country.
So you're changing the law here on the presumption of contact so that people who abuse or are a threat to children, they have no guaranteed right to see their children. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. So the presumption at the moment requires the victim of the domestic abuse to prove that there had been that abuse in place. Repealing it and changing the law of the Children's Act 2014, which in turn changed the 1989 Children's Act, makes sure that it reverses that. So it would be up to the parent where there was potential domestic abuse to prove that it was in the interest of the child and that they were able to provide a safe environment for that child. This is enormously important. Women's Aid have campaigned on this for 30 years. We know in that 30-year period, 67 children have died at the hands of their known domestically abusive parent on a permitted court visit where the courts have been aware that domestic abuse has been in place. But it's not just about the risk of homicide. We know from 2024, from the 9 months from last April, 40,000 cases in under CAFCAS in the family courts involved domestic abuse. So it will have a much broader effect and protect those that are victims of sexual abuse, physical harm and violence as well.
Last week you went to see the Prime Minister with Claire. What did he say to you?
He said how humbled he was with the fierce campaign that Claire has fought over 11 years. We've seen 5 previous Prime Ministers who have done nothing. I took Claire, my fantastic constituent, to Downing Street last week, and I told him of the promise that she'd made to her boys, that she would make sure their voices were heard by repealing this law, and that in turn, as her constituency MP, I'd promised her that I would help her do that. And he told her in Downing Street that he would deliver on that promise and make sure we do repeal the law on the presumption of contact. So it's the first Prime Minister in the time that she's been fighting this campaign absolutely tirelessly to do that promise and say that this will be delivered under our government.
It's amazing it's taken so long, so many years to get to this point and to rebalance the debate in favour of victims. It
is absolutely essential. In the days since that we've announced that this is going to happen, I've had many hundreds of messages, both on email but also on social media, saying what a difference this would have made to protecting the lives of children, of women that have been going through domestic abuse for so long, and what it will do to support and save the lives of a generation of children. This puts the best interest and the well-being of children at the heart of our family justice system, but it also helps protect the victim, the parent victim of domestic abuse, because it means now they don't have to go to court to prove that the other parent is a domestic abuser before their child is stopped from going and having permitted court contact visits. It reversed that, and it puts the emphasis on the voice of children and putting their interests at the heart of our family justice justice system.
And when will this change happen, Marie?
It will happen as soon as parliamentary time allows, and for your viewers, what that means is that this has to be an amendment in law to a bill in Parliament, because it is repealing two other acts of Parliament, two elements of other acts of Parliament, and it has to be in the face of a statute that's coming before the House of Commons, that it's in scope of, that it is the subject matter of the same bill and can therefore have a legal effect in the way that we need. So
next year, you think?
I hope it will be as soon as possible, and I think there's no chance, knowing the other ministers that I've been working with on this, working with Claire as closely as I have been, and the fierce and powerful response from the Prime Minister himself, who announced this at the beginning of Prime Minister's Question Time last week, that we will do this, our government will deliver this.
But marietidball, you were elected last year as the MP for Penistone and Stocksbridge. How does it feel to get change in law so soon in your time as an MP?
I mean, it feels a great privilege to have been able to work alongside Claire Throssell and to take her campaign to the next step where it can become law. And that's what members of Parliament are here to do. We are here to represent our constituents as the elected representatives and make sure they have a powerful and strong voice in Parliament to change the law to better meet the needs of people up and down this country. And it is an absolute privilege to serve her and to serve my constituency of Penistone and Stocksbridge.